Welcome to Magnifying Media News. We're covering everything from animation to sports and even a little bit of battle rap today. We have a long day ahead of us. Help me out right now. Before the video really gets into it, I need you to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by June. I'd appreciate you if you help me with that goal. Go ahead and help me out real fast. Gonna get right into it. Listen. Netflix budget cuts mean more than people realize. If you are an anime or animation fan, you need to understand that those budget cuts affect you first. And I know that these are not things that people are necessarily a fan of, but it's just the way the game goes. And no, it's not fair, but it's the truth. Anytime big companies get to cutting, they're cutting animation first. Why? Because animation is not well respected. Animation is not going to get the respect that it deserves. And the same reason that people say that things like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Yu Yu Hakusho, even Naruto, your Castlevanias, your Bleaches, your Hunter x Hunters are viewed as cartoons, the world has not come that far. Yes, anime is more accepted than ever, I'd argue. But no, it is not important to big companies just yet. I think we're getting there, and I think we may be there very soon, but we're just not there. Your Naruto's, your Bleaches, your One Pieces may mean a lot if you're an anime fan, but it doesn't mean anything to big companies. The only things that we can hope for is that these cuts or these changes put Netflix at such a high disadvantage that they realize their mistake and they take a step back. However, I'm extremely doubtful because, again, just not respected. So what does this mean going forward? This means that shows like Arcane not coming back. Very big fan of what they were able to do in 9 episode season. But with these budget cuts, the chances of Arcane coming back have turned from likely possible to a slim to none. Your Squid Games, if you're an anime fan, you might not be happy to hear this, but Squid Game and things like that, those reality, if you will, Netflix originals, they're going to be pushed first. They're going to be the first things out and actually will probably survive the budget cuts. But we just have to see what happens. Gotta go right into it. It's not really news, but I definitely want to talk about it. The Kim Possible and Batman versus Batman tweet going viral is crazy to me. Here's why, right? I don't know whose bright idea it was to say this, but that's not the same thing. And I don't know how this has turned into any version of an argument. I appreciate, shout out to bro who got the likes and the tweets and the retweets or whatever. If he was able to make some shade from that, happy for him. But who in the fuck? Don't post shit on Twitter like this. Can y'all not, please? Because all it does is fill my timeline. Because nigga, when I tell you niggas was having a spirited debates, far and away the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Okay, and hear me out, right? All for female empowerment, female culture, 100%. Because in that same vein, we as much as people don't want to do it, Sakura, Boruto era Sakura is fading a lot of people from OG Naruto, and I don't think that's in debate at all. I don't think it should be in debate at all. And even going as far as to say, if we're talking about two separate worlds or two separate dynamics, I think that, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, Wonder Woman could probably fade Krillin, and I don't think, I don't think it's gonna be a 1-to-1. But even if you don't want to give her Krillin, right, you got to give her Yamcha. She's fading Yamcha because she can fight, she got hands. But fucking Batman and Kim Possible, my nigga, respectfully, bro, Batman fight schizophrenic clowns on every Tuesday. And a nigga that can freeze over, or whose goal is to freeze over a city and possibly revive his wife at some point. He's fighting people that are actually mentally ill. She's literally just a high school student, and with all due respect to her, and this is my half remembrance of Kim Possible, can't she just stop what she's doing and go to school? Like, if she did, would the world like, you know, if she was just like, you know what, I'll stop fighting the forces of evil, I'll just go be a regular student, she could do that, right? Like, I'm not wrong in saying that. If Batman stopped what he was doing, a town would literally burn to the ground at that point, because like, his villains don't have final goals, they just be doing shit. So like, I just want to know how this became a fucking debate. Respectfully, all for the female empowerment, cool, but can we be just a little more fucking realistic? Like, at least be respectful of each universe. Like, don't just be talking out the side of your fucking neck. I guess. Okay, we're gonna get off that, because I'll probably go for 20 more minutes. Moving on to the second sneaker collab, and this is why this is an animation, because Naruto is back in business again, but this time, as I've seen, with Asics. Now, this dropped in March, but I just now found out about it. And then with the Zion collection from Nike set to drop, I'm thinking it's dropping sometime this summer, right? I feel like we should talk about this. Why do y'all think that shoe companies are going to put the anime viewer first, I guess? And I truthfully just want to know. You can leave a comment down below if you like, but I truly just want to know, because there's no way on earth that you thought that it was going to be that way. Asics did a better job, 100%. I think that can go without debate in terms of look, right? But nobody fucking buys Asics. People buy Nike. Why is Asics going out of their way to trip and make a certain point why is Nike going out of their way to make a certain point when no one buys Asics? They have no competition. Now, my view of the situation is that I think it's also really weird, and maybe I'll cover that in a separate video, but we also need to talk about anime influence on like actual clothing culture, because I think it's really weird how anytime an athlete or anytime a mildly major name makes a statement about anime, that it immediately garners the attention enough of the brand to drop some sort of a collab, if you will, and I use those words loosely, but I think it's probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen or heard. Michael B. Jordan is the first one that comes to mind, and while I think that has to stop, I also think that there needs to be a more I don't think that there's a middle line either. I'm interested in shoes, but I'm not so interested in shoes that I have to have every single shoe that drops, and I think that that's the case for a lot more anime fans than people realize. I think that there are some people that kind of overlap in both spaces, but I also definitely think that those people are underserved and also aren't visible to the average eye. Like, there's not so many of them that you have to address them. There's enough of them to where you know what will be successful and what won't, but not so many that you feel like you have to pay it any attention. I hope that makes sense. Moving right along to sports, and we'll actually do kind of these all together. So Zach LeVine and free agency pulled out to be really interesting. I don't even want to sit on this really long. I just want to talk about what this means going forward, or what this could mean going forward. Social media is beginning to play a bigger role in the way that free agency plays out, and I really think it's interesting. I think that for the first time in at least the past few decades, social media is becoming a more prevalent aspect. In fact, it's at some point probably going to overtake the traditional media. Like, somebody will probably tweet out that they got traded, or tweet out that they've left, or tweet out that they're going to wherever, and the memes and the Photoshop pictures of your favorite players in different jerseys, they might end up just liking that photo or retweeting that photo, whatever the case may be, and it become a reality. I don't think that there's much to say in terms of it. I think it's really interesting. Zach said he's going to weigh all his options not via Twitter, but via interview, and that's made its rounds. I hope to see what happens. I think it won't stop here. I think as other people begin to move and shake and do what they do, that what Zach has done will not be the first or the last time. And in fact, again, reiterating it, there will be a point in time where someone just tweets out that they're trading teams or that they're leaving, or they may demand a trade via Twitter. But we just have to see how everything shakes out, and if anything develops, I'll be back. Wouldn't be fair if we didn't talk about Brittany Griner's situation. It's taken over it's got less attention than it deserves, and again, it's media, so gotta speak on it. Brittany Griner was reclassified by the U.S. as wrongfully detained, and now they're more than likely going to begin to make those steps to get her back home. However, I do think that this is really interesting. And the reason that I think this is interesting is that for as much as we talk about and up, pushing the protect black women, and we need to be where we are, and we should have brought her home, they should be making more news, I think that it was really interesting that as quickly as it came, it went, right? There was a meteoric rise and then a meteoric fall in terms of her story. It was everywhere for what felt like a week, maybe a week and a half, and now it's nowhere to be seen. But moreover, I think that the lack of effort from the leagues involved says a lot about how we view the sport and how we view stars and how loosely we're willing to use the word when it fits, right? When she was being tweeted about consistently, it was, hey, she's biggest WNBA star, whatever the case may be. Hey, she's this. If it was this NBA star, it should be viewed a certain way, right? And I think that this, again, plays back into media. Bigger stars demand a bigger name. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not even saying that it's balanced, but WNBA has significantly less eyes on it, therefore less attention. In fact, I'm fairly certain, and someone can fact check me if I'm wrong, I'm fairly certain she was actually playing overseas at the time, right? She wasn't over there for no reason. She wasn't there for, step in, drop off, a walk through, whatever the case may be. Those aren't the correct terms, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. She wasn't there for those reasons. She was there to actually play in the league, make money, and then go home, which I think it was Maya Moore or another, forgive me, I'm blanking on the name. Another WNBA star said that they have to play overseas during off season in order to, make ends meet and make as much as, they feel like they're entitled to, whatever the case may be, or to make up the difference, right? Make up the difference that they feel like they should be getting paid. I think the Brittany Griner situation actually does a lot for the WNBA going forward and could actually set a bigger precedent for them to get paid more. Now, is it sad that it has to come off the back of something that was as detrimental and as a negative, and possibly, because I'm not sure, but more than likely a traumatic experience for one of their stars? Yeah, it's a tragic situation, 100%. But that being said, I also think that this kind of goes back to the play on people. If there are more people watching the WNBA and there are more people participating in things that the WNBA has to offer, nobody wants to hear this, but this doesn't happen. This isn't a problem. This isn't even a thought in people's minds that she would get back here. Because as much as people don't want to hear it, it's true. If this was LeBron James or Steph Curry or James Harden, this wouldn't have been a problem. There are also a million or so more eyes on the NBA than there are the WNBA. But we can only see the way the story developed. I'm just here to say that she classified as wrongfully detained. They're doing everything in power to get her back home. Hopefully she gets home safely. And prayers up to her spouse and possible children. I'm not sure. No children listed, but I don't know. I don't follow their lives that closely. So this is a little different, but I got to talk about battle rap because battle rap is a fun time for me. So Kings versus Queens went down, and I would just like to say that the only reason that this became a little more interesting for me and became a point of topic, argument, or conversation was the fact that when Geechee and Jazz battled, haven't seen the battle, gotta go back, watch the full card. I might even do, get my own personal thought process, in the second episode. So you should subscribe for that. stick around. But the Geechee and Jazz battle was interesting to me because a lot of people had Jazz winning, where, you know, Geechee, being the new face, if you will, was expected to just go in and body her, right? Well, looks like that didn't go exactly as planned, maybe. You know, they say that battle rap's an opinionated sport, but they did have Jazz winning the fan vote. Now, I'd just like to say that fan vote thing's a little dicey, but can't pick and choose. I use the fan vote in my argument, I think, for the Easy Black Captain video. So, you know, gotta be consistent. I don't necessarily agree with what happened, but gotta be consistent. If Jazz got it, Jazz got it. I can't hate on the next man. I just think that it's really interesting because the Geechee and Jazz situation happened, and Jazz did something that people didn't expect, and now it's making rounds. I don't know how this is going to pan out, but this could also mean a bigger bag for Jazz and women going forward. I'm not sure, because, you know, these are, you know, more contractual obligations. This isn't necessarily eyes on situation, but this could definitely mean a lot for female battle rap going forward. I gotta talk about the app exclusive. I didn't really have much to say on the Geechee and Jazz, but I gotta talk about the app exclusive event. Surf and Cortez is actually going down on that event. That event also has DNA and Official versus Jack Boy and First Lady Flames. Drugs versus Franchise, Sharon versus None. I think that should be interesting. And Swamp versus Dot, which I'm not too interested in this card, actually. And because it's an app exclusive, I'd also just like to say y'all hold Cortez like real bad, because y'all have to understand that for as much as it doesn't matter how the battle goes, even I'm not gonna even say he needed it, because his fans will say otherwise. A big stage look is a better look. I think that's a fair argument, and I think that kind of goes without saying. I don't think that it needs to be said or explained any more than what it's explained as, which is a bigger stage means more eyes, means bigger growth for your brand. I think that's just baseline common sense. And for y'all to put it on or to make it an app exclusive is hella foul. Not to mention the fact that the battle was initially supposed to be taking place on Civil War, and, you know, obviously due to unforeseen circumstances, it didn't go down. But nonetheless, he still certainly would have benefited from a big stage look. I think that big stage look is unfair. Now, if it's me, I might take it, I might not. I don't know what Big Bro Pocket set up like, but I wait for a big stage. I know Surf probably doesn't care one way or the other, but if it's me personally and I'm Cortez, I'm waiting till I can get the big stage look, because the big stage is what I was promised. I'm not gonna play the role or the route of getting vaulted if something happens, or the chance of it not going to as many people as possible, because people are going to tell me that it could be a big stage, you buying tickets. It's not the biggest stage, because as you've seen, if you agree with what's been said in the battle rap world currently, Caffeine did 1.7 million people watching. Now, I don't know how they tally that number. I don't know how that number is counted, but 100% free and clear, if that number is accurate, Cortez is missing out on a possible 1.7 to 2 million extra eyes, and that look is a look regardless. I think that's something that, you know, he has to battle, but all in all, good luck to everybody involved. You know, it's happening May 7th, which is this weekend actually, so we'll just have to see the way the game play out. I know this was all over the place. You got any tips? Anything that I can do better? Anything that I can change? Anything I need to improve on? Anything you can do to help is appreciated. Leave a comment. Again, subscribe. I'll catch you next week. Hopefully we'll start doing these Mondays, Tuesdays. You know, we can be hectic, but I'll see you next week regardless. Peace.